conservatives lament all these institutions that are eroded, and then they constantly turn to government to save these institutions. But all you see is more erosion of whatever they're looking to save: the family, the school system, values. And like at a certain point, the conservatives have to stop and look and be like, maybe we should not be turning to government every time we're mad at the other side.
Well, this is what I say about like the cultural appropriation debate and also the immigration debate, because the conservatives are worried that the immigrants are going to come in and ruin our American culture with their horrible South American culture or whatever. And then all the liberals are saying, you're going to take our culture and you're going to pervert it by, you're not really part of our culture. You shouldn't be allowed to use it. And I always say, well, culture is not something you have a right to. Culture is not really even a thing. Culture is an action. Culture is things that we do together. That's to kind of paraphrase that old quote, that government is what things we do together, which I think is Barney Frank.
That sounds...
But, culture is things, it really should be a verb. It's things you do. And if you want to preserve your culture, you should do the things that your culture demands that you do. If you want Halloween to be preserved, you got to go out there and do trick-or-treating and carve your jack-o'-lantern and put it up on the porch. If you want Christmas to be preserved, put up your Christmas tree and give presents and show everybody how great it is and show people how awesome your culture is and make them want to adopt it. And that you can't protect a culture through legislation. It just can't be done. It's got to be something that people affirmatively do and celebrate and lead by example and show that this is the right way to live. And I think that's the mistake conservatives are making. They're like meekly sitting in the corner going, oh no, our culture is being eroded by these leftists. Well, you need to fight for your culture as rabidly as they fight for their culture. You need to show up and say, this is how we live our lives. These are the values we hold. These are the morals we hold, and we're living them. And everyone can see how great they are and how well they work. And then if people see that, they're going to want to adopt that culture. They're not going to want to destroy it. That's my view on it anyway.
Reminds me of a quote where if your idea is required to survive, if a point of a gun is required, to keep your idea alive, you have a pretty bad idea.
Yeah.
And I didn't say it as poetically as whoever said it the first time, but essentially says that if your idea is good enough, it'll survive on its own.
I think that's the case for the most part.
But
at least in the long run.
Yeah. I think, especially with... Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that the conservatives, the faith, on one end, they always are lamenting the government and the growth of the state, and then that's the only idea they can come up with to stop or at least slow down. I think the best they can do is apply some brakes.
As someone who's worked in Washington, D.C. for the last 8 years trying to make things more free, I understand the frustration of the perceived lack of the individual to make a difference. Like, my boycott's not going to do any good. My vote's not going to do any good. I can't do anything to achieve the change I want, so I got to have government do it for me. And it is very frustrating. And I've, spent 8 years trying to change the culture, and it doesn't work. It's really like it's an uphill battle. It's like Sisyphus pushing the rock up, and it's very slow moving, and it's very unresponsive to one person pushing it. But that's how things change over time. It's through mass movements and through people putting their ideas out there and trying to figure out a way to show that their ideas are better than other people's ideas. And everyone wants a shortcut. They want to just flip a switch and we're going to solve this problem. But you gotta put in the work. You got to do the hard slog of trying to change people's hearts and minds over time. And I think a better way to do that is to do it through example and showing that your ideas work. Because for a lot of my life, I spent trying to use logic to argue with people and say, here's my foolproof, irrefutable syllogism of why your argument is wrong. And they say, I don't care about that. And they go on doing the thing that they've been doing. It doesn't really work. And it took me so long to realize that that's not how people think, because that's largely how I think. If you can show me a foolproof syllogism of why I'm wrong on something, I'll tend to agree with you. Not all the time, but I tend to agree with you. But other people don't think that way. They think emotionally. And so more and more, I'm trying to just live my values and show people, man, Logan seems like he has his act together. He seems happy. He seems productive. He seems like he's got a good life. What's he doing that I'm not doing? Why is his life so much better than mine? And why am I so frustrated and angry all the time? And have people kind of come to that realization on their own instead of trying to run up to people and be like, you're wrong. You need to adopt my ideas. I'll show you the right way to live. So I'm trying to get better at communicating through that. And I'm hoping that other people will follow that lead. And it's going to be a slow, grindingly, painstakingly slow process. And it has been so far. But I think that this idea that you can have a shortcut and we're just going to tell government we're going to solve all of our problems by passing a law. We won't have any cultural problems anymore. We can rest on our laurels and rest assured that American culture is preserved in perpetuity. It's fantasy. It's not going to happen.
Amy, you're telling